Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play another Metroid 2 Remake. In the last part, we continued out into the Hydro Station and cleared it out pretty easily while also facing our first Gamma Metroid. And now it's time for us to leave the Hydro Station after we grab one more missile tank that I've been trying to get. I tried to get earlier last part and just tried to there, but now I have to roll all the way around with the Spider Ball to get it. At this point, it is probably faster for me to come back here later to get it, but yeah, I had a checklist and I was going to stick by it, damn it. One thing I think they did for the Spider Ball in this game is that I think they increased its relative speed compared to what it was in the original Metroid 2, but I'm not entirely sure about that because the Spider Ball doesn't get much use past this point in the game anyway, mostly due to the power-up we're going to be getting fairly shortly. Though I do think that this fan remake does a better job at using the Spider Ball past that point than the original Metroid 2 did. Otherwise, since we cleared all the Metroids here, that in this area, last part, that means the lava over here is now lowered, so we can now progress farther. As you can now see, the lava has indeed lowered once again. However, first up, I'm going to go over here to get a missile tank. I actually got this before entering the Hydro Station, I think my first playthrough, but I'm not entirely sure if I did do that. I could also just be thinking that I maybe discovered the room, because I was very explorative my first playthrough. Also, if you haven't noticed at this point, the crumble back blocks are back from Super Metroid. They're still fairly annoying, though this game also has the version of them that was introduced in Zero Mission, or Fusion rather, where they crumble slower. And there's the lava again, so now we now know where our next destination will be after this next area. But the next area is one of the more interesting ones in the fact that, up to this point, we've been more or less one-for-one to the original Metroid 2 in terms of gimmicks for the areas, even though they showed a bit more of those gimmicks off, obviously, like the Hydro Station was now much more water-based. Whereas in this upcoming area, the gimmicks almost entirely changed, and I like what they did with it. Scanning environment, so here comes our Metroid total. 10 in this area. That's actually, I think, the most in any individual area in the game. Actually, no, it's not. Or wait, is it? If it's not, it's the second most. And I could go after a lot of them right now, but I'm going to head into the main central area to get a lot of power-ups first, including item pickups. One thing that I believe version 1.1 of this game added, just because I don't remember it happening in version 1.0, so I could very well be wrong about that, is that whenever you get a power-up, it refills that kind of ammo. Like, say if I only had 5 missiles left, but I got that missile tank, I would have been at 125 after getting the missile tank. So that's a nice little convenience thing they did there. Go down here for another missile tank. And now, as for this area's layout, there's a lot of ways you could go at first. We need to get to the central part of it in order to even see the data log. But we're going to go down to the first door that we see, mostly just because there is something waiting for us down here. And here is a Chozo statue containing the space jump. Like in the previous games, it allows you to jump again in midair infinitely as long as you get the timing right. That's pretty handy, so now let's get the hell out of here. Uh-oh. Hello? Oh, your eyes open. Boss fight added for Metroid, for AM2R rather. The Torizo from Super Metroid's back, actually. And the boss theme's actually remixed with the Chica theme from Metroid Prime 2. Torizo. Analysis of the Sentinel shows evidence of unknown organic tissue, most of it concentrated in the torso region. The Torizo's armor plating is lined up to give it great mobility, but also leaves it vulnerable to standard weapons. According to Chozo history records, the construction of such advanced types of sentries was performed exclusively by the most gifted. Created with biological matter and mechanical components, this makes it difficult to reliably calculate its combat abilities. This is the one fight in the game where if you want to use the moonwalk option, it's actually pretty good because it allows you to take out this part of the Torizo fairly easily because you're just spamming missiles up at it. And in terms of attacks, it's basically the same as it was in Super, though. The little pukes, the Sonic Slashes, it's more similar to the Golden Torizo, honestly, but it's also a lot easier. Until Phase 2, that is. Because now the Torizo can fly! And the theme is actually, once again, a remix of the Chica theme. The first phase was Chica Baby, the second phase is Chica Adult. And this fight was a lot harder on my first playthrough, and I didn't remember to use my downwards aim a lot, because whenever it does this attack here in particular, where it charges across the screen, wherever you are at your altitude, it always comes in at the bottom left below you, so you can just spam missiles in its face. Because of this, becomes a much easier fight, because if you're good at button mashing, you can take its health out really quickly. I actually like that fight, though, and it gave me a good surprise when I started flying. That was cool. But now we have the space jump, so the spider ball, outside of like morph ball times where we're still going to need to use it every here and there, is almost entirely useless to us now because we can explore areas with it. But with that now, I can officially welcome you to the industrial complex. This factory assembles worker drones which are tasked with supplying SR388's facilities with replacement parts that keep them running autonomously. Though time has left its mark, the machines have kept it intact. Some combat drones are also constructed here. Robotic workers are malfunctioning and show signs of aggression. And once we get inside here, the theme actually becomes another Metroid Prime 2 remix, the Great Temple theme, which is probably my favorite area theme in Metroid Prime 2, and in fact, it's the only one I can really remember. Now, this is where I do something that I think I mentioned either in Part 1 or Part 2. Also, Gamma Metroid, you know how to deal with these guys by now. Just shoot it in its belly. In that, back in that previous room I was in, I could have headed right or south, or down. If you head down, you'll go on another pathway that leads you towards a beam upgrade. But I'm saving that for the revisits to this area later on that you'll see how that works eventually. Because it's just faster for me to get that then. If you want to get it now, though, it's there. It's fairly easy to get, and it's honestly a pretty good beam upgrade. This is just me taking the speedrun approach by saving some things for later. Because no matter what you do, on your first no matter what playthrough of AM2R you're on, the industrial complex, if you're going for 100%, is one of the areas you have to revisit anyway. But up here we get another returning power-up from Super Metroid, the Speed Booster. Run continuously to begin speed boosting. It's the Zero Mission Fusion version because there's no run button. I'm surprised they didn't implement that, though. So, just run forward long enough, and you start going train through everything. Going through everything like a train, rather. Though they actually try to throw a few interesting puzzles at you with it, like right in this next room. You need to shoot missiles at these platforms to get through them, and then jump, and I failed. The build-up for the Speed Booster feels a bit different in this game, though. It's not the distance that feels weird, it's the fact that, unlike, say, Metroid Zero Mission or Fusion, you don't immediately go into the, speed boost part when you have the speed built up. Like the little graphical effect, it's not immediate like it is in the other games. And because of that, you can actually charge your Shine Spark, which you can still use with it, before that even begins. Meaning, if you're good, you can actually get some Shine Sparks in pretty easily in this game. They work similarly to Zero Mission and Fusion. You don't get HP taken away like you did in Super from Shine Sparks. But they are also much better in terms of agility as well, because you can just... I feel like they're a bit faster in this game in general. Mind you, that could just be my mind playing tricks on me, which it very well is, more than likely. Also another Alpha Metroid. You guys are used to dealing with them at this point. Though, I touched on it last part. Well, one little detail I like about the Alpha Metroids is that if you're paying attention to them throughout the game up before the Gamma Metroids first show up, they actually start evolving prior to that first major evolution, because the horns grow bigger and then the arms grow bigger. That's a nice little detail. I think throughout the game we're mostly going to be encountering the one with the longer legs, but we will eventually still start seeing the other sprites again. Either way, the industrial complex is actually one of the harder areas in the game for the point of the game it's at, because a lot of the things in here can do a lot of damage, particularly some of the machinery that the data log was talking about. Sometimes they can do upwards of an energy tank of damage, which can be kind of deadly, especially on hard mode. Mind you, hard mode I've only played through once, and it wasn't fun, I can tell you that much. And that's me screwing up by trying to get a missile tank that's to my right. Oh well, I'll get it in a moment. And did I just see a green missile? I think you guys know what we're going to get here. Basically, what I'm trying to do here that I just say screw it here and come back for it later on in the part, is that if you Shine Spark in that wall to the right of me, from right about where this platform is, you'll go through the wall and get a missile tank. It's better for me to get it later on, though. Oh, wait, no, I tried one more time. This is the last part where you really, as far as I can recall at least, where you really see me kind of playing like an idiot. Because I was trying to be a bit more collecty than I should have been. You know what I mean? Getting ahead of myself. Part 4 onwards, I believe it is where I actually start being very confident because I am more practiced and I'm more used to the control scheme as well as just realizing my limits. Though, to actually go a bit into current event stuff in, like, life, it's currently April 1st, And AM2R had a bit of an interesting thing with the developer where he released April Fool's jokes every year starting in, I think, 2010. Like, in 2010, the creator found his Commodore 64 and made a joke that AM2R would have a mix of sprites from different games in the series, which was just strange. A password system would have been in it and such. In 2011, there was a demo of the first part of the game released, which featured Mario as the playable character. 2013, because there wasn't one in 2012 for some reason. I think he just couldn't come up with a good one for that year. 2013 had Project Another Metroid Other M remake. That's actually kind of hard to say. Which was basically just going to be making fun of all the things people made fun of Other M in a game form, and it was pretty funny. 2014, he teased DLC and microtransactions because that was really hot in the gaming at the moment, at the time rather. Like Flamethrower, Metroid Thrower, Cat Thrower, really stupid stuff, reserve tanks, just really dumb joke stuff. In 2015, he joked that he was going to enhance AM2R with Anaglyph 3D, which allowed him to use it on the Oculus Rift. Which, what was pretty funny is that he technically did implement that in the April 1st demo, if you actually had Anaglyph 3D on. And before I get back into it, now for a bit of an odd little mini-game thing. We have to control one of these combat drones, picking up what looks to be a super missile, and dropping it on certain blocks in this room. I'm speeding this up after this first robot, because this can actually take a while, and I screwed up a bit on it too. You have to drop it on the blocks, and you destroy the robot more often than not, but you can make another one drop anyway, so this can just take a while. In 2016, the developer released another Metroid text adventure, which was basically, I think it's Zork, was the text adventure game that everyone really kind of liked, which is actually still available. And in this year, he announced another Sonic 2 remake, which I'm not sure the details yet. If he's actually making that, I will laugh, but it's there. Either way, I don't like this section. In my first playthrough, I was here for about almost 20 minutes just because I was having a hell of a time getting this robot to work with me. Thankfully now, I'm a lot better at it. And that's all I have to say about this. Though I do like the foreshadowing with the item that you're picking up, because if it's not obvious at this point, since this is post-Super Metroid, super missiles are in the game, and we're about to pick them up. Ow! Yeah, look at that. Ow, my heart. My heart? My health. Yeah, things in this area hurt. I would actually wonder what would happen if you came here without the Varia suit, because you can technically skip the Varia suit. You can skip a lot of items in the game, really. So I have to wonder, how much damage would those things be doing to you? Either way, the super missiles, once again, are technically more powerful missiles. They do 5 hit damage instead of the 1. Well, they do 5 times the damage of a normal missile, rather. And that is actually pretty useful for boss fights, in Gamma Metroids especially. The way that they work, yet again, in terms of accessing them, it depends on the control scheme you're using. I believe no matter what, you have to select them with another button. But afterwards, it depends on whether or not you are using the Super Metroid control scheme, where you can just select it or the normal missiles separately, or if you're using the Zero Mission, hold the 1 button to have them accessed at all times thing. I'm bad at exploring, talking about controls like that, I'll be completely honest. Either way, it's also over here that there's a certain item that kind of haunts me, and you're also going to get to see me be an idiot in this room again. Because the last item I got in my first playthrough, the item that prevented me from getting 100% for a good couple of hours in game because I couldn't find where the hell it is in this very room. Also, I wasn't used to Super Metroid's control scheme at that moment, so you're going to see me wasting a lot of super missiles here accidentally. Right around here, there are super missile blocks on the ground that I somehow missed on my first playthrough for the longest time, and below it is going to lead us to a power-up, which increases our super missile count. This was the last item I got, and I was so pissed that I somehow missed this, because I remembered shooting stuff on that floor when I was playing the game my first playthrough, but for some reason, it just didn't show. Though I will not lie, getting this early now really makes me feel good, because it taunted me for so long. But if you look at our missile count, actually our super missile count more specifically, you can actually see that they work very similarly to super missiles in Zero Mission, in that every pickup is 2 instead of 5. There are a total of, I think, 20 super missiles in this game you can get, at least in terms of, like, power-up numbers, but I forget if I'm right about that. Either way, we're done in this area of the industrial complex. We actually never need to come back this deep again. So let's get the hell out of here. Digging this remake's a great temple, though. Like I've said it before, there aren't many tracks that stick in my head from Metroid Prime 2. This was always one of them. Mind you, it's because it's I forget, is this technically a remix of the Luminoth theme, rather? Or is the Luminoth theme a remix of this? I don't know. I forget. Also, nice little hint here. Shine spark up here, and you get a missile tank. That's a nice little indicator there. That's a nice little detail. With that, though, if I recall, we're entirely done. That one power-up that I'm saving for later notwithstanding in the industrial complex's main building. We're now going to have to head outside and get some stuff around the outside, though. We're going to get one more power-up on the way out. Industrial complex's main building is one of the hardest in the game, honestly, just because of the amount of damage you can take. But, thankfully, it's also one of the shorter ones, if I recall. I forget, was there a missile tank up there in the original Metroid 2? Mind you, oh, and there go 2 more super missiles. I do that a lot in the early game, by the way. I'll say that right now. I forget how Metroid 2 handled its missile tanks. I think they were a lot more dickishly hidden. I also think they gave you more than 5 missiles at a time, though. You could theoretically go use the save point if you wanted to at this point, because we're coming up on the end of the part, but there's one more Metroid I wanted to take care of. As well as get more things. This is something I also could have saved for later because it's technically faster for me to get a later ability to do this by like a second, but in my eyes that's not worth it. Since there's also an energy tank and a missile tank over here, I might as well just get them now. Besides, that 6 looks a lot better than the 5 because it's 2 complete rows. Well, columns, technically, because they go into they are organized in columns. And there go 2 more super missiles. In terms of how good the super missiles are against, like, Gamma Metroids, though, I think it takes them out in 3 shots. Mind you, one instance notwithstanding, I honestly forget how many missiles the Metroids take. Enough, either way. You know, one of my bigger issues with Metroid 2 was always that it felt off with the lack of boss fights for the most part. Because they were the only boss fights in the original game, basically. Arachnus notwithstanding. And it always just kind of got boring after a while, because you got so used to fighting the Alpha Metroids, who were easy to begin with, that they just became pathetic. Gamma Metroids, you eventually got used to, and they just become pathetic. And it just kind of got annoying. That's one of the reasons I actually like this game better than the original Metroid 2 Return to Samus, in that there's more boss fights, and they're all almost more interesting as it is anyway. So, yeah, good job there, guys. Also, nice little shortcut here. Shine Spark right up to skip this entire going up sequence. Also, there's a super missile door over there. I don't have any super missiles, so I can't open it anyway. But beyond that is an item I cannot actually get yet because you need a later item. Also, that was me attempting to do a speedrun strategy, but no, well. But you're supposed to, what I was trying to do there is do a Shine Spark into this room so I can go over here. But I somehow did that anyway. Why doesn't that work later on, then? I come back here later on, and for some reason that Shine Spark wasn't working, that speed booster wasn't working with me. What the hell? That's weird. Well then. Either way, with that, I'm going to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4 of AM2R, we are going to be progressing into this area's version of the breeding grounds and hunting down some Gamma Metroids in the process. See you guys then.